Hello all, hope you're all doing well. We are continuing with our weekly portion review, and this week, as we get moving towards the end of the fifth book, we are in the portion of Vayelech. Moses is walking over to speak to the people of Israel, right? This is really Moses' final moments of leadership, and he's really preparing the people to a future without him. And he's going to appoint Joshua as the successor, Yehoshua, um, and he entrusts the Torah to the priests and the elders. And it's really a moment of last week, this week, and the following week are really moments of a transition between the leader and his disciples, and between the generations themselves, and also between the law that was taught and now the law that needs to be lived. So, with that context, I want to mention a very famous Mishnah. Um, um, in We've studied this before in the Ethics of Our Fathers, that famously teaches that Moses received the Torah from Sinai and transmitted it to Joshua. Very famous words. Now, the Talmud, though, presents a different tradition. In the Talmud, it talks about that Moses learned the Torah from God. He taught it to Aaron. Aaron comes into the tent, and then his sons come into the tent, and then the elders come into the tent, and finally the people of Israel. And there's a sequence of Aaron hearing it 4 times, and his son 3 times, and the elders twice, and the people of Israel hear it once. But the idea is that after his passing, right, it's Aaron and his sons and the elders repeated it until the Torah was actually fully rooted in the people of Israel. Now, from this description, from this account, it seems that the true transmission of the Torah were actually to the priests and not to Yehoshua, right? Not to Joshua. So how can we reconcile both of these opinions? And the answer is really that there's two different Torahs and 2 different dimensions of the Torah we're talking about here. There's the written Torah and there is the oral Torah, right? The oral Torah, we could see is also another name for it, is the Seder Mishnah. This is really concerning the practical rulings, right, that are actually emerging from the principles which we read about in the Torah, that the Torah expounds about. Now, this ultimately leads to concrete halacha, right, which Jewish law, and it requires obviously a fixed institution to decide about these matters, or questions that are in doubt or that we're not sure about. We have to be able to make a decision. And this task actually belongs to the Kohanim, right, the priests, or the elders. And this is really seen as the nation's legal or halachic leadership. Now, the written Torah, this is really here to convey more of a moral and spiritual vision of what's really underlying the law itself. And the language teaches us that these values and these ideals that guide Israel, even when there's a halachic application that differs from what it was actually talking about, the values themselves stay the same. A classic example is the verse of an eye for an eye, right? So the written Torah is teaching us about the severity of the crime, and what would be the ideal justice, but the oral Torah is now translating this to us into a practical monetary compensation at the end of the day. Now, there's the idea of people who are safeguarding and transmits this ethical / spiritual voice. That's the king. The king is supposed to be the person that, according to the commandments itself, right, that the Torah has to be with him, and he has to read from it all the days of his life, right, so he could learn to fear God. Now, the king really governs the people, and with this awareness of the Torah values and its vision, he could do so. He's not just focusing on the halachic detail itself. And this also explains our specific portion. Right? Moses is turning to Joshua and is telling him in Hebrew, it's chazak ve'amatz, but be strong and courageous, right? Because ultimately, you're going to bring the people into this land. So Joshua's role seems to be one of military and politics. Now, immediately afterwards, though, Moses writes the Torah and gives it to the priests and the sons of the Levites and to all the elders of Israel. So this is sort of mirroring the Talmud's account, right? There's a halachic, a Jewish law transmission that goes to the priests and the elders. But then the Torah adds that at the end of the 7 years, right, you shall read this Torah before all of Israel. And the language over here is singular, right? You shall read. This is pointing to Joshua, who is still alongside Moses at that moment. He's next to him. So you have to imagine Moses is talking to the elders and to the priests, and at the same time his hand is on the shoulder of Joshua standing next to him, right? His job is to convey the Torah's moral, spiritual power to the people, just like the Mishnah describes, right? And that's why we could see now the picture comes into focus. The priests and the elders, right, are here to ensure the halacha and the faithful practice of the Jewish law. And Joshua and later on the other kings are here to preserve the Torah's values and vision, right? It's really here to inspire the people to learn and fear Hashem, our God. Both are necessary. Law without vision becomes rigid, and vision without law becomes empty, right? And together they form the living Torah. And this balance of law and vision obviously speaks directly to us today. In Israel, our current tensions, we often see that one side is clinging to the law and to the authority, and the other is insisting on values and vision. And the Torah, again, is teaching us that we need both, right? Our challenge is really to hold them ultimately together, right? Just like Moses is telling Joshua to chazak ve'amatz, be strong and courageous, right? To lead with strength and with spirit, so that obviously all of Israel will actually learn to benefit from this. And we have to work very hard to try to do this ourselves, to understand how we need each other, we need the other to be able to do this dance properly. I'm wishing us all a Shabbat Shalom. Take care.